A very good evening. Welcome to State of Business on our television. I'm Ashingsani Veerasinghe. Let's have a look at the headlines first. 180 Navy personnel tested positive for COVID-19 so far, health authorities say. Police in civil attire will be deployed island-wide to arrest individuals who do not follow the quarantine guidelines, DIG Ajit Rohana says. 7 opposition party leaders, including Ranil Wickremesinghe, urged the president to reconvene the parliament. News in detail. Health Ministry announced that 48 new COVID-19 cases were identified for the day, with a total of more than 570 COVID-19 cases in the country. Commander of the Army Lieutenant General Shavindra Silva noted that among the COVID-19 infected patients identified from Sri Lanka, 180 are Navy personnel. Accordingly, all new patients reported as of 5 p.m. today are Navy personnel. 4 more were tested positive for the virus and the total number of cases goes up to 571. The total number of recoveries is 126, while 432 patients are currently under medical care. Addressing the daily COVID-19 press briefing, Director General of Health Services Dr. Anil Jasinghe has said that medical faculties of 3 universities, Peradeniya, Colombo and Kelaniya, will be used to conduct the PCR tests under the supervision of the health authorities. Dr. Jasinghe has said at present the Health Ministry conduct at least 1,200 PCR tests per day, but they have decided to increase the number of tests soon. Reflecting on the same sentiments, Health Minister Pavitra Wanyarachi assured that the country can conduct 2,000 PCR tests per day in near future. She added that the PCR test to be provided to Mullaria National Hospital will have the capacity to conduct 500 PCR tests at once. DIG Ajit Rohana, addressing the media, said that police will deploy police officers in civil attire to arrest the individuals who do not respect the quarantine regulations when the curfew is lifted early morning tomorrow. He stressed that any kind of meetings, gatherings, flocking at the shops or public places will not be allowed and that the non-abiding people will be arrested. He also added that once the curfew is lifted, people are allowed to engage in their day-to-day activities, respecting guidelines from the health authorities. He also added that individuals who engage in self-employments will also be allowed to have their usual lifestyles. DIG Ajit Rohana also added that 40,095 individuals have been arrested so far for violating the curfew, along with 10,332 vehicles. He assured that vehicles taken into custody during this period will not be released and will be produced at the relevant courts. Commander of the Army Lieutenant General Shavindra Silva, addressing the daily press briefing on COVID-19, added that among the COVID-19 infected patients identified from Sri Lanka, 180 are Navy personnel. Among them, 112 are officers from the Valisara Navy base and the other 68 officers had been reported while on leave. Army Commander further noted that 4,512 individuals have left from the quarantine centres after completion of the quarantine process. More than 50 families of the Navy officers have been directed to the quarantine centres conducted by the Sri Lanka Navy. Army Commander said that a new website named covid19.government.lk will be available for public from today onwards. It includes all the details pertaining to COVID-19 in Sri Lanka. In continuation of the ongoing assistance from China to Sri Lanka in its fight against the COVID-19 pandemic, the government of China today donated a consignment of medical supplies to Sri Lanka, which is worth over 211 million rupees. These medical supplies were donated to the Health Minister Pavitra Wanyarachi by the Chinese ambassador to Sri Lanka, Hu Wei. This consignment includes 20,016 of novel coronavirus nucleic acid diagnostic kits, 10,000 of medical protective masks, 10,000 of disposable coverall, 1,000 medical goggles and 5,000 single-use rubber surgical gloves. The Chinese ambassador has also handed over a report containing the protocols taken by the Chinese government on containing the pandemic. Moreover, Bata, which is a multinational footwear company, has donated 1,000 special medical footwear to the Health Ministry. Cementing the cross-border relations of the two states, the High Commission of India today handed over one consignment of medical gloves to the government of Sri Lanka. Earlier, on 7th and 8th April 2020, India gifted about 13 tons consignment of essential life-saving medicines to the government of Sri Lanka. Sri Lankan Airlines gives clarification on social media posts that are currently circulating, implying that the airline has charged exorbitantly from the stranded Sri Lankan students who were repatriated to Sri Lanka from India in a special operated flight. The airline announces that amidst the COVID-19 crisis and the standstill of global services, it had to quote fares that were purely based on costs for the special repatriation flight, unlike general market fares that are based on market dynamics. Accordingly, Sri Lankan Airlines states that the above-mentioned flight was specifically operated as a special flight based on the request made by the students and their parents to the government of Sri Lanka. Sri Lankan Airlines explains that when operating to destinations that the airline does not currently fly to, as in the case of Kathmandu and Amritsar, the operating costs such as landing, parking, ground handling, etc. are incurred at prevailing rates in the absence of service contracts with suppliers, and as such these costs are relatively higher. These main operating costs are beyond the control of the airline and are incurred despite lower cabin factors. The statement further stresses that taking into consideration that most airports have shut down, Sri Lankan Airlines had to carry fuel from Colombo for the return journey, catering services and organize standby ground services for any unforeseen emergency. The special repatriation flight was also operated under special COVID-19 airline operational procedures, and because of that, it had been subjected to a further increase in expenses in endowing of medical supplies. Given the situation when the total cost is divided among lesser number of passengers, the per passenger cost is substantially higher, the statement of Sri Lankan Airlines added. It is in this respect the airline had to quote fares that were purely based on costs for the special repatriation flight, unlike general market fares that are based on market dynamics. Chairman of the Raigam Group, Dr. Ravi Liyanage, says that the government's decision to increase the finance limit for the vehicles should be appreciated as it energizes the people and assists to make sure whether the circle of demand and supply in the society is properly met. Dr. Liyanage made these remarks at a discussion organized by the Sri Lanka Broadcasters Guild yesterday.
ලංකාවේ වාහන වලට ෆිනන්ස් දෙන්න ගැන අපි කියනවානේ ණය පහසුකම් දෙන්න.
Finance facility limit for the cars and other vehicles was only 15%. The government had allowed the banks to increase the limit to 90% from Saturday. Then one questioned me why the government facilitates the vehicle purchasing at this moment. He was arguing that the more concession should be given to the general public. I will explain this. What the government should do at the moment is give a push to the halted economy. The technical word is inducing the economy. I agree with it. Government should pump money into the economy. Then only the circle of demand and supply is activated. In 1931, when the world faced an economic crisis, the economist John Keynes said to make a plan where people receive money. He explained that then only the demand is created. Then the other end has to make the supply. The process assures the circulation of money into hands of several parties. Then they spend money purchasing their equipment. They use the different transport modes. Like this, economic circle should be functioned. That is what the government should do, and it should give a push to start the economy.
Stay tuned for more news after this short break. Welcome back after the break. 7 political parties urged President Gotabaya Rajapaksa to rescind the dissolution order issued on the last parliament and reconvene the House so that the country can face the growing threat from the COVID-19 pandemic. In a joint statement signed by all 7 politicians, they also pledged their joint and unconditional support to the President in Parliament to solve the impending crisis. The documents signed by Ranil Wickremesinghe, Sajith Premadasa, R. Sambandhan, Mano Ganeshan, Rauf Hakim, Partli Champika Ranawaka and Rishad Badiuddin pointed out that although elections have been called for June 20th, it is unlikely that conditions would be conducive to the holding of free and fair elections. They urge President Rajapaksa to respond positively to this offer of responsible cooperation by them at this critical time and revoke the proclamation dated 2nd March 2020 in dissolving Parliament so that they can jointly fight to eradicate this virus and also to ensure that everything is done lawfully and in compliance with the Constitution. They point out that the President can thereafter dissolve Parliament whenever the situation becomes conducive to conduct the election. They pointed out that Sri Lanka, like any democracy, is governed by 3 institutions with distinct and separate powers: the executive, the legislature and the judiciary. They stress that all 3 of these organs are vital and must be active for rule of law to prevail, and their functioning is more important now than at any other time when we face an unprecedented challenge. However, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, in a discussion with his senior advisor Lalith Weeratunga, said that he would not summon the dissolved parliament for any reason, and that is something which cannot be done. Meanwhile, the prelates of all 3 sects also recently requested the president not to summon the dissolved parliament again. UNP's deputy leader and former parliamentarian Ravi Karunanayake says that the UNP as a party will make a successful return and the ones who left the party will not be prioritised for any reason. Former Colombo district parliamentarian Karunanayake also admitted that the party has done few mistakes and at some of the occasions party was too late to make correct decisions.
අපේ පක්ෂවල වැරදි වෙලා තියෙනවා අපි පිළිගන්නවා මේ අවස්ථේ හංගන දෙයක් නැහැ අපේ යම් දේවල් ගත්ත තීන්දුව හිමින් වැඩි ඒව නිවැරදි කරන්න අවශ්‍යයි මේකෙන් මතක් කරන්නේ කවුද සැබෑ ඩීල්කාරයෝ කියන එක අද විපක්ෂ කාර්යාලයක් ලබාගෙන ඒ රථවාහන ලබාගෙන ගමන් කරන්න පුළුවන් නම් දැන් කවුද ඩීල්කාරයෝ කියන එක නැවත මතක් කිරීම අපේ සතු කාර්යභාරයක් අපේ සලකන්නේ පක්ෂ පිරිසුදුනා ආයිත් ඒක නැවත අපිරිසුදු වෙන්න අපිට තියන්නේ මොකෝ මේකේ මුන් හොඳ නැහැ උන් හොඳ නැහැ කියලා බලලා කටයුතු කරලා මේ ඊටාම චරිත ඝාතනය කරලා එක පාට එක සුද්ධ වෙන්නේ නැහැනේ ගැඹුරු මහමූදේ තමයි පිරිසුණු තියෙන්නේ අන්න ඒක තමයි ඒකද එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂය වෙරළට එන්න තමයි ඔක්කොම කුණු ටික මේව කරලා ඒ වෙරළට එන්නේ තියෙන්නේ අර මහමූදේ ඉන්න UMP එක අපි ආරක්ෂා කිරීම අපේ සතු කාර්යභාරය ඒ ජනතාව වෙනුවෙන් සටන් කරනවා අපි අමාරුවේ ඒ ඩීඑස්ලා ඩඩ්ලිලා ජයර්ලා හදපු පක්ෂය අපි රැකගෙන කටයුතු කරන්න අපිට බැඳී තියෙනවා යම් වගකීමක් ඒක අපි ඉෂ්ට කරනවා මේ අවස්ථාවේදී අපි අපේ හිටපු අපිට ඉන්න අය ආරක්ෂා කිරීම අපි අත්‍යවශ්‍යයි ඒගොල්ලෝ තමයි රත්තර අපිත් එක්ක යම් ප්‍රශ්න කියලා හිතාගෙන එළියට ගිහිල්ලා එන අයත් අපි රැක ගන්න දෙන්න ඕනේ නමුත් ඉස්සල්ලා අපිත් එක්ක හිටපු අය ආරක්ෂා කළ යුතුයි කියන එක මතක් කරගන්න
The number of confirmed coronavirus cases globally has surpassed the 3 million mark, along with more than 207,000 global death toll. Meanwhile, UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson, addressing the nation for the first time after recovering from coronavirus, added that the government would only ease up the lockdown when it is confident that there will be no second peak. Accordingly, being badly affected by the coronavirus pandemic, the USA reported 1,157 deaths yesterday, accounting to more than 55,000 overall death toll within the country. Meanwhile, more than 152,800 coronavirus cases are reported from the UK, and there were 413 deaths in the country yesterday. Addressing the nation this morning after a full recovery from the COVID-19, UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson added that country will only ease the lockdown measures after it is confident that no second peak from the virus is offing.
To throw away all the effort and the sacrifice of the British people and to risk a second major outbreak and huge loss of life and the overwhelming of the NHS. And I ask you to contain your impatience because I believe we are coming now to the end of the first phase of this conflict.
Subsequently, Italy, which was adversely affected by the coronavirus after China has outlined plans to ease the strict restrictions it imposed 7 weeks ago to curb the spread of the coronavirus. Government said that the measures would be relaxed from May 4th, with people being allowed to visit their relatives in small numbers. Parks, factories and building sites in Italy will reopen, but schools will not restart classes until September. Moreover, masks are now made compulsory on public transport across Germany, with most states also making them mandatory when shopping. Officials are recommending people to use simple coverings and leave medical masks for health professionals. Hairdressers and garden centers have reopened in Switzerland, and students asked to return to school from 11th May. Subsequently, New Zealand says it has eliminated local transmission and moves out of its toughest lockdown level at midnight today. On the other hand, more than 1 million Australians downloaded a coronavirus contact tracing app within hours of it being released by the government. Users are notified if they have had more than 15 minutes of close contact with another user who tests positive. That's all the news for today. Stay home, stay safe. See you tomorrow on State of Business at the same time. Until then, take care. Good night.